Hey, if you guys follow me or you follow my channel for any length of time, you know that I love interesting tech, especially when it comes to like the new consoles and stuff like that. Anything that's been added, anything that's been sort of put in there that maybe hasn't been done before, I'm a fan of that. And the reason why I'm a fan of that is quite simple. Is just like, tech stuff moves forward. Now I'm not a fan of tech moving forward in a way maybe that you would see with like game streaming and stuff like that. I really feel like that is the counter measure to what I want to happen, which is just consoles to exist and continue to be a great place to play games. Now, going back just briefly before I get into the story, which, by the way, positive Xbox story alert, so make sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's going to be a very positive, very cool story. But just going back, I mean, consoles have always been the thing that I love to play best on, and one of the reasons why I love console gaming, which is also kind of changing, is the fact that consoles are being put up against in multiplayer games against PC, against each other, against handhelds and tablets via streaming, and it just seems to me like that's sort of an unfair type of thing and really more of a PC thing. Like, one of the huge reasons why I'm a big console guy is because consoles will always win against other consoles, and there wasn't like this huge advantage. Yes, somebody maybe had a bigger TV or whatever, but there wasn't like a huge advantage. Like what we're gonna see in Halo Infinite, 30 frames per second on Xbox One versus up to 120 frames on Xbox Series X, and maybe even more on PC. Yeah, it's not really a fair type thing to say. So anyway, what's up everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Crapgamer, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Just please like the video if you are new to the channel. Know that I appreciate it. Much love to everybody, much happiness to everybody. Thank you guys for always being there for me as we continue to change things and try to grow and whatnot. So you guys have been amazing. I know it's not going to be an easy thing, and maybe it won't even happen, but I do know that what will happen is I'll be proud of my own content, and that's all I can ask for. So yeah, that's what I'm going to continue doing. Now, when it comes to Xbox, they have some really cool stuff going on. As you guys know, I've been playing a little bit more Xbox as time goes along. I've been playing some of the Mass Effect collection. I'm almost done with that, believe it or not. Over 150 hours I put in that. I didn't think that I had that much gaming in me for an entire year, but I put a lot of time into those 3 games, and I think one of the main reasons is when I first played through these games back in the day on the 360, I didn't really do the side quests, and I didn't get the best endings. I didn't get, the DLC, so I'd never played through that. So I'm playing through the stuff like the DLC, like the Citadel stuff on where you get your apartment. Just fantastic, and I never experienced that before. So yeah, I'm like happy as heck. It's just really good stuff. So anyway, back to this. This is really cool. AMD FSR helped ensure that Myst Remake could run at 60 frames per second on Xbox Series consoles. The Myst Remake coming next week to PC and Xbox Series S and X, including Game Pass, will be the latest title to explore AMD FSR on PC, and one of the first to do so on Xbox. As you'll recall, Microsoft announced its support of Fidelity FX Super Resolution across the platforms in early June. According to developers Scion Worlds, FSR was instrumental to ensure 60 FPS on both the Series X at 4K resolution and Series S at 1440p resolution. This is what they had to say, and it sounds a little bit technical, but perfectly fine. One of the technical features we've used to achieve this is AMD Fidelity Super FX with Super Resolution. This allows us to crank the graphics quality much higher than we typically would be able to, thanks to FSR. Myst can run at 4K at a smooth 60 frames per second on Series X with the highest graphical settings across the board, and 1440p at 60 frames per second on the Series S. With FSR, we effectively decrease the screen percentage of the game down in the background. This allows the super sampling process to sharpen the image. There are some minor differences of how the game looks at native 4K resolution without screen percentage adjustments, but overall, FSR provides a nearly 75% increase in performance on the Series X and S on 4K displays without sacrificing much visual fidelity at all. The visual changes are subtle at best, but that's how they're supposed to be. The bottom line for you, instead of having balance between performance and graphics, they offer a crisp, clean, fast, and great looking experience on all Xbox platforms. They're proud to be one of the first developers to take advantage of this tech for the Xbox Series X and S, and they actually have some video comparisons which look, I gotta be honest, pretty damn even with FSR on and with it off. Like, it looks great. And this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the future and that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of people don't think I'm right about anything, or they make fun of me because they think that I'm always wrong. Years ago when Witcher 3 came out, I gave the, and it had dynamic resolution, right? Because at that time, resolution was all the hot talk when it came to the Xbox One. A lot of times we're running at 900p or 720p or 852p, a lot of weird P's, right? So this was really an issue. And, I said, this is going to be a really good thing, having dynamic where it can adjust itself in, less cumbersome areas it could be higher, and then in more taxing areas a little bit lower. And when you have new hardware that comes out and you have backwards compatibility, you will be able to get the most out of it. And that's a very smart thing, because that's exactly what's happening. I don't think, like, in the future, now that this stuff and PlayStation 5 has FSR too, so both companies and both consoles will do this, but basically what this means is, if you guys, and you don't have to be a real tech genius to know this stuff, but native 4K is very taxing on hardware, okay? But everybody's like, oh, native 4K, native 4K. Realistically, with something like FSR, you can get, a 60 frames, you get the higher frame rates, all the bells and whistles for pretty much the same quality as, a 4K image, but at a 1440p image. And you're going to be able to get all the bells and whistles that way, and it's not going to tax your system. So I think that that's a very smart move. I think that's the sweet spot for all the consoles. We should all kind of just drop this whole idea of, it has to be native 4K, it has to be native 4K. I think that's something that, as fans, a lot of us aren't necessarily tech experts. I'm not a tech expert, but I do think that it's very interesting that people kind of look at these things and don't understand it. They just see native 4K or whatever, and that's sort of unfortunate. So I do hope that that's something that, people kind of come to terms with. Like, it's such a waste to really go out there and say, oh, well, I hope this is really native 4K or whatever. So, I hope that's the case anyway. I would love to see exactly what happens in the future, where all these consoles are offering, this feature, as well as, 1440p with 60 frames or even more. Maybe throw in some ray tracing and things like that, because I think what we've seen on the Sony side to a lot of positive effect, and that's when we've seen that they've offered multiple, particularly Insomniac Games, they've offered multiple different modes to choose from. So, like on Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, there's multiple modes to choose from, and I think that works best because people have the option. Same thing with Spider-Man Miles Morales. They did a fantastic job going out there and making sure that Miles Morales has multiple modes. I like the 1440p 60 mode with some ray tracing. I feel like that's like the super sweet spot. It plays really, really great, and it looks really, really great, like next generation. That's where it's at. So I do hope that we continue to see that going forward, and it just makes sense because this technology, like I said, on Xbox, on PlayStation, and this is what it's there for. This is exactly what it's there for, and I hope that we continue to see, improvements on it, and it come to more and more games, because that's where it's going to be important to be able to keep these consoles performing at an optimal level of of speed, and an optimal level of just the way things go. So I do hope that that it's going to be one of those things that people start talking about. Bravo to Microsoft. This might be one of the first games, I believe. I'll have to check it, but yeah, this might be one of the first games that really takes advantage of this FSR on a console, and so I hope to see many, many more in the future. This is going to be kind of the future going forward, and I can't wait to see where it leads and what happens. And like I said, it's a very exciting time for next gen gamers all around. So thank you guys very much for rocking out with me and spending another time with me with another one of my little crappy videos. If you enjoyed it, maybe consider liking the video or subscribing if you haven't already done so. I do daily content. There's some big announcements and stuff. I'm getting back into reviews, just content, stuff to see, you know, what's going on. I'm trying to do my best to avoid the heavy console warring stuff, man. I'm just, you know, for me, I'm enjoying it all too much now. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to get that out there. So thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.